Hello my friend, welcome back to the channel. Appreciate you stopping by. Well, my new chariot has arrived. I have a brand new kayak under all this plastic and cardboard, and we're going to unbox it here and go through the features that this kayak has so you understand why I purchased this kayak. And yeah, if you want to have some fun and write in the comments what you think I bought before I unbox it, that'll be fun. And let's get right into it. Well, there you go. It's an OldTown Sportsman 120 Pro, which is the brand new model. They did a whole bunch of cool things to it, and I'm going to go through all of those features with you here real quick and show you exactly why I bought this kayak and how excited I am. All right, so let's just do a walkthrough of the kayak and take a look at the features of the kayak and give you my initial impressions. I've been in this kayak now for about a week and a half. I've done some fishing. Actually fished a tournament with it, so I think I have a pretty good idea of the benefits of the unit, and I'm really happy with the purchase, and I'm going to go through that with you guys so that you have some insight for yourselves. So the kayak comes with a mounting system in the front. There's 4 bolts that are set up to allow you to mount a front motor. And the bolts that come with it, I should mention, those are nylon. They're not designed for any strength. So if you're going to mount something up here, you're going to want to replace those bolts. They're nylon, so they need to be tossed. But they are a good placeholder to keep stuff from getting into the inserts if you're not using the front mounting system. Obviously, I'm not a motor guy. I'm doing this for exercise, so I installed my anchor in the front, and that was a perfect mounting system. The bolts worked out perfectly. Very happy with that. The handle is sideways, which my native Titan came with a handle that was in parallel with the kayak, and that was painful to try to use, and I ended up switching it up to a perpendicular handle setup, and this one comes that way. One of the things that I noticed though is with all the stuff that I put on a kayak, it gets quite heavy, and it's difficult to handle it, particularly because the keel on the front and the back, when you try to pick it up, it tends to try to roll a little bit. So I will likely add a longer handle so I can get both hands on it in the front and have a little bit better control. But for the average user who buys this kayak, that handle is perfectly acceptable. I'm not disappointed with it the way it is. It's just that I got to take it out to the barn and cobble something together. I gotta make a modification so it works best for me. The other thing that comes with this kayak, and you'll see this throughout the kayak as we walk through it, is through-hole mounting. So they have these grommets that are set in all the logical places where you're going to need wire to protrude from the kayak. They're pre-drilled, they're set up, and my initial reaction was that these were on the small side, that they were kind of rinky-dink. Because, you know, the natives and Hobie and Bonafide and, you know, all the other manufacturers have these big plates that you can mount cabling through, and it gives you a lot of room to fiddle around. And these are kind of small and they appear to be petite, but you know, honestly, I have not been wanting at all. These have been perfect. Even with my graph here where I have 5 cables that go through the hull in through that through hole grommet, they've been perfect. It worked perfectly. So I don't think I would want them any bigger than that. So, and you know, initially I thought, well, they look a little bit lacking, but they've been perfect. I've been thrilled with them. I actually did a video on them. I'm very happy with them. Very happy with the through-hole system. The front is not hinged. It is a tethered cover, and I actually followed the recommendations, and I bought an extra prop to have in my kayak, and they've got this nice little feature here where you can store your prop so you don't know where it is at all times. And the nuts and bolts I've actually rubber banded to the prop, so I have everything I need to remount a prop should something happen to that guy. So that's a really nice feature. I'm pretty happy with that. This is a reasonable amount of space up here. I mean, if I were doing long distance touring and needing to store sleeping bags and stuff, I don't know if that would be enough, but it's a nice space for a fishing kayak. I'm pretty happy with that. You can see these tubes that are in here. They're actually the rod holders, and we'll cover that when we get to the center of the kayak. I have installed my Garmin LiveScope translation unit in here, and my electronic remote control switching unit. I have a video on that if you're interested in that. The kayak comes with a box full of parts. I just store that in here, and I will add parts to it as needed. And then I have also my power distribution board in here, where all of my ground and hot wires all mount to a single place. So if I have to do any troubleshooting, I could just get a voltage meter on that and figure out exactly where my problems might be. And it's all centralized and makes things easy. And having it inside here, I don't have to worry too much about making that ultra waterproof. This kayak I've had on the water for 5 days in some pretty rough water. You'll see some of those videos coming up. And I never got a drop. Not a single drop of water was in this hull. I have yet to find any water in here. Not even condensation, which is odd. But it's been completely dry, which is thrilling. After dealing with a kayak that I opened up on a regular basis and had to remove a quart or so of water, this is a very, very, very pleasant surprise that remains dry in there. Okay, so the pedal drive is also another wonderful, pleasant surprise. It's got a higher gear ratio than my native did, and that allows me to pedal slower and go faster. That makes sense. So I don't have to, the rotations on the pedal drive, you can go quite a bit slower and still get a decent trolling speed, which I do. And there's a huge buck walking through the neighbor's yard right now. He doesn't seem to care. There's two of them. That's nice. Okay, we're gonna have to get some pictures of these guys. I don't know where he thinks he's gonna go. Maybe he's gonna lay down right there. I don't know. Here's his buddy up here. They just crossed the road and are now mowing down my neighbor's tree. They're eating that. Oh well. Okay, so back to the pedal drive. So yes, it's got a higher gear ratio, which is a pleasant surprise. One of the other things that's really nice about this unit that I hadn't taken into consideration is that when you, it's easier to do when you're in the kayak. When you have the unit in the kayak ready to pedal, you've got basically a very flat surface. Your deck is not elevated at all. And initially, I have to tell you that I was very skeptical about this system. I didn't like the fact that it has this giant plastic thing stuck on the bottom here. But what that does is, that is a perfectly sealed unit. It's got a rubber gasket around there that seals the drive completely in the hull. And so even at high speeds, you're not getting water coming into the kayak, which was a big problem for me with the Titan. I was all the time getting water in my kayak. So I like that system. The other thing that this does is it's a large open air space in there. So if the drive happens to go overboard, it actually floats. So, well, at least that's what I'm told. I haven't tested it, don't want to, but I understand that it floats. So that's a nice feature. Very happy with that. And the other really, really cool thing about this is when you go to lift it out of the water, you don't have to index the prop to get it up out of the deck. And that's another reason why they have this large unit on here, is to allow area for the prop to come through the hull. And I didn't think that that would be such a wonderful thing, but as you're careening towards the bank, and you need to get your pedal drive up out of the water before it hits those nasty rocks or whatever happens to be in the water, it's really nice not to have to struggle to get the thing indexed. And you know, in the wintertime when I've got my dry suit on and a bunch of clothes and trying to bend way down and index the propeller, I always struggled with that. And so this is a very welcome addition to the kayak. So very happy with that. All right, now the elephant in the room is the gear track. So this is the biggest thing that OldTown, I'm used to saying native, that OldTown did, was they added this gear track. Now I was, again, not very happy with OldTown's decision to put plastic gear tracks on their kayak. It just seemed like, you know, I couldn't imagine putting my 5-pound anchor on that plastic gear track along with my 8 or 10-pound outrigger or downrigger and expect that to hold up. It just didn't seem like that was a good material solution. So I was very, very apprehensive about purchasing an OldTown specifically because they had the plastic gear tracks. But with this new model, they put in aluminum gear tracks and they've mounted them on the outside here. Now, this has really bothered me that they mounted them on the outside. I thought, well, all the weight on almost all the things that I'm putting on is pulling this way, and so that would make it really less sturdy than it needed to be. And I really would have appreciated plastic on the outside. That was my initial thought anyway when I was looking at it. But one of the things that I realized after I got the kayak is that this gear track has actually got a curve to it, which makes it wider and quite stable. I have no complaints with it whatsoever. It's quite strong, and it's got probably 5 to 6 additional screws than the native gear track has. So yeah, I think it's quite sturdy and quite durable. Very happy. And so you can see here I've put in an eyelet here to contain my anchor cable. I've got a rod holder, my horn, my main switching unit for my power. That's the mechanical switch that completely disconnects the battery from the entire kayak. So when I'm done at the end of the day, I can just turn all my power off. I have my fish finder and live scope, and oh, they come loose. I got to get my screwdriver out. I've got my fish finder, my live scope, USB power, and camera mounts, and they're all placed exactly where I want them, where they work best for me. And having the gear track over the entire section of the kayak allows you to do that. Allows you to put stuff exactly where you want it. And so I'm glad to see that OldTown has come to their senses and they put in the full complement of gear track. And we'll see more of that as we move back to the kayak. Okay, moving back through the kayak, we're going to go through the compartments and stuff that have been added. They have this mounting box right here, and if you take this cover off, you'll see that there's an opening under there, and that is in place for a motor's speed control and that sort of thing. So it allows you to mount your electrical system here for your motor without, again, piercing the hull, and it's a replaceable plate, which is nice. The seat itself is comfortable. I've not had any complaints really with the comfort level, but one of the things that bothers me is that when I'm shifting my weight, it makes clicking noises and creaking noises, and you know, when you're trying to be stealthy, sneaking up on spawning fish and so forth, that's kind of frustrating. But this is not, this is pretty typical of the type of seat you get on a kayak. So I'm not being critical of it. This is you know, common detail that you're going to find on a kayak. It's just that's something that you're going to have to take into account. Now, it's not really bothering me in the least bit, because my plan is to completely replace this with a swivel seat, and I will share that in a video when I do it. Again, this is pretty standard stuff as far as kayak seats go. There is also an opening here directly below the seat, which when I was wiring the internals of the kayak, it was really nice to be able to just reach in here and, you know, grab stuff that I may have lost with my fish stick, or trying to just snake wires through the system. It was really nice to have this in here. I hadn't actually put anything in that area. It's just another opening down into the hull. It's here mostly to be able to put the standard battery in for the pedal assist. But it's a functional thing for even people who aren't using the pedal assist. So it's a real nice option to have additional access into the hull here in the center. Very pleased with that. The rear-facing rod holders, I really wish they hadn't put those in. Those are piercings in the hull that I would prefer not to have there. And they, as you can see, they completely interact with my preferred version of rod holders, which is to put them on the gear track. I like them on the gear track. It's easier to turn around and reach them. You know, I don't have to turn all the way around to get them off of my my box. So I really like them on the gear track, and these guys here become completely superfluous because I can't even put a rod in there. Well, I can, it's just not very convenient. So it's a hole poked in the kayak that I wish they hadn't have done. But I guess it's a marketing ploy to tell people, yeah, it's a fishing kayak. Well, yeah, it's obviously a fishing kayak. You don't need to do that. But I really am not a fan of purpose-made things that are molded into the kayak. The one thing that I wish they had a purpose-made was a cup holder, but you know, they didn't do that, so I'm over that as well. But I'm not very thrilled with those guys. I wish they hadn't done that. What else is over here? Oh, there's also the front-facing rod holder, which I really appreciate. I like that a lot. I'm glad that that's there. So, you know, you take the good with the bad. All right, in the back, there is a bungee cord system that they have set up that crisscrosses across the back, and that's pretty standard for most kayaks. I don't find them to have very much value. I don't just throw chowder in the back and try to hold it down with a bungee cord. So I removed the bungee cords. Now I did make a modification of the bungee. I put a bungee hook on there, and that is connected to the front and the back, which keeps my box from going anywhere. And it's just two simple hooks that allows me to put the box in easily. And they're out of the way if I'm not even using the box. So I like that. That it's that customizable was not a problem. In the back here, OldTown has put in two tie-down bars that allow you to strap in a motor, and that's basically designed for your rear-mounted motors. If you wanted to do that, it allows you to put a motor right back here and strap it in. I've used a 50 amp hour battery for my electronics and my lighting, and it works perfect, and it allows me to bolt it in here. I'm perfectly happy with it. A really lightweight system for me to secure the battery to keep it from going anywhere. I might as well show you this while we're at it. So the OldTown comes with this lever here on the side, and that is designed to up and down your rudder. And I have found that that works incredibly well. Most of the up-down systems that I find on kayaks, that they don't work very well. This one works really well. I've heard people complain about they becoming derailed on the back here, but that has not been my experience in the 8 to 10 days that I've been fishing with this. I am really impressed with how easy that is to up and down the rudder, and how well it works. Very, very happy with that. All right, so the gear track, as I mentioned, I like the gear track because it allows me to mount my rod holders. I do have a video of those if you want to go check that out, how I make those. And I can put on as many of these as I want. You just saw how easy it was to take them on and off. There are centralized openings in the gear track that allow you to take things on and off from the middle, so I can do that as well. And that makes things incredibly easy to customize how many rod holders I have to go on any one trip. So if I'm going out on water, I haven't fished before and I want to have a lot of rods, I have the ability to add 3 or 4 more on here, or I can just go with the standard 8 that I typically go with, which I think is a big plus. That's why we have gear track. Thank you, OldTown. That's why you put in gear track. The other thing is that I transport this kayak in the back of my truck, and there really wasn't anything to attach my tie downs to hold the thing in the back of my truck. Well, who cares, right? That's what gear track's for. So I installed these 2 aluminum plates on the back, and that's where I connect my tie downs to, and it works perfectly. Very, very happy with that. It worked out perfectly. Also on my gear track, I have my 360 light that is tied into my battery system with my remote control power switching, and that works fantastic. I also have USB power right here, which is next to my camera mount, so I can plug my cameras directly into my onboard USB power, and they run forever without having to worry about charging batteries. I've never charged a battery since I started using them, so it's fantastic to have that. One of the things that we talked about a little bit is the rod holders, the tubes that go in the front of the hull here. So you can lace your rod holders in there and they protect your tips. It's not something that you can really use on the water because it's a pretty tight space here next to the seat. So I use them for transporting my rods. I don't have to go through a whole lot of trouble. I just slide them in there and then throw it in the back of the truck and I'm good to go. So I like that, but I think the idea was that you could actually put 3 or 4 rods in the side of your seat here and have those on the ready to be able to fish with them, but that really doesn't work very well. It's really quite tight in there. So when I get my swivel seat on here, it'll be a lot more open under there, and I might be able to do that. But for right now, I would say that the onboard rod tubes, they're there basically to transport the rods and not really to use during your fishing exercises. And you can see I use the space next to the seat to store my catch board, and so it's at the ready when I'm ready to measure a fish. I should mention also that there is another opening in the back here that allows you to get in here and do any kind of wiring. There's not hardly any room in here. You could store some stuff in there, but it's basically here to be able to facilitate doing the internal wiring of your motor system and your electronics, and I utilized it for that, and it's quite helpful. And the other thing I like about this is that it's on an elevated surface, so unless you get a large amount of water in the back here, it's never even in question as to whether or not this hatch is waterproof. I suspect it's water resistant, but it might be relatively waterproof. But thankfully, because it's on an elevated surface, I don't have to worry about that. Okay, moving along to the other side of the kayak, I just wanted to show you a couple of nice features here. It does have a kayak pedal or paddle holder, and that has a rubber keeper on there, and this is really strong. Like I said, I've been into some pretty rough water, and I have lost a lot of paddles in rough water, and this held that securely, and I didn't have to worry about it. It was a peace of mind to know I'm not going to lose another paddle. That worked out really well. The other thing about this kayak is that it's got an Apple label stuck to the steering handle. Why is that on there, Pat? Okay, so the nice thing about the steering on this, it's relatively easy to steer the kayak. That's really cool. One of the things that I have found is if you're out there in really, really warm temperatures, like at the tournament I was at, it was over 90 degrees, and the whole kayak warms up and it expands. And so the cabling inside becomes really tight and it can get hard to steer. So just keep that in mind. Don't tighten your cables down super tight, because if you're out there in a really warm weather, you're not going to be happy with the ease of steering. It has this little knob here which allows you to tighten this down, and it will hold the steering straight in one place if you so desire. And you know, I can actually see that working when I need to eat my lunch while I'm going across the lake. My old kayak would go spin in circles if you didn't steer it constantly, but this tracks really, really, really well, and so that might actually come into play. I think that I might actually use that occasionally. So when I first opened the kayak, I said, oh, well, that's a superfluous detail. What the hell would I use that for? But then I actually started using it. It actually is a nice feature. I actually kind of like it. So very positive detail there that they put in there. Okay, let's do a quick summation of the kayak and my feelings about the kayak, how I feel about my purchase, and I'll give you the goods and the bads, and then we'll get on with the rest of our weekend here. Okay, so the things that I most appreciate, the number one thing is a gear track. If it didn't have this gear track, I would not have even considered this kayak. I appreciate being able to put stuff where I want it, in the exact orientation that I want it, and I want it to be durable and sturdy and not have to worry about it breaking. Plastic gear track is not something I'm interested in using, but the aluminum gear track and the mounting system that they have here, I think is top notch, and it's really the reason why I purchased the kayak. And one of the pleasant surprises that I had was the whole detail around the pedal drive. You know, and the reason why I didn't buy an OldTown the first time around is I really didn't like this big old mounted piece of plastic here. I thought, well, that's just silly. It's not a good detail. But once I put it in use and I saw how it worked, I thought, oh, that's actually pretty smart. And I was pretty stupid not to think so. But the fact that it comes down and it seals the drive in the hull and it's watertight, that's fantastic. And the fact that it has a storage compartment in here that's waterproof and remains dry and allows the drive itself to float, again, fantastic. The gear ratio, the higher gear ratio, which allows you to pedal slower and go faster, yeah, it makes it a little bit more challenging to pedal, but it gives you so much more advantages. I'm really, really pleased with that. Very excited with it. One of the things that I appreciate as a former graphic designer and industrial designer is the fact that they make it look clean and neat and beautiful. It's a wonderful design, and I appreciate that. The tie downs that they have and the flatness of the deck once it's installed, all that stuff is just wonderful. And of course, not having to bend way down and index the propeller in order to pull it up out of the water. This whole thing is just really, really well done. Very, very, very nice design. Very happy with that. The through hole, the wiring, through hull wiring, those are great. They really are. I was a little skeptical, but I was thrilled with the gear track, and so that's really why I bought it. And I expected it to be a lot drier than my previous kayak. So, but I thought those would be wanting, but they're not. They're fantastic. So I really like those. Again, the flexibility to rework the bungees in the back everything about this kayak, I just was really thrilled with on my initial response. The things that I'm less thrilled with are the seat. It creaks and clicks and things when you're adjusting your weight, and the rear mounting rod holders. I wish they hadn't done those. They're superfluous, but those are really minor things, and so overall, I'm really excited with it, and it's going to be even better when I get my swivel seat on there. So stick around for that. We'll be sharing that, and there's also a bunch of videos coming out of me fishing from it. So yeah, one of the things I like to do is trolling, and I think I got 21st place out of 100 people in the native tournament, and I did it trolling. So you'll see that. That's a video that's going to be coming out, and just to wrap it up here, 100% positive about this kayak. I give it a 99.8 recommendation. It's out of 100. It's just a really well done kayak. Very much appreciate this kayak. So if you're thinking about buying one of these, I'm not affiliated with OldTown in the least bit. I just bought it because I thought it was a great kayak, and I'm thrilled. It is a great kayak. It really is. Very happy with it. All right. If you like my shenanigans here, by all means, give me a like and a subscribe. And if you have any questions about the kayak functionality, any of the components that you have some questions about, feel free to put that down in the comment section. I'll answer them. I'm very good at answering my comments. And thanks for watching the video. I appreciate it.